The Eurasian red squirrel, Sciurus vulgaris, is among the most popular of the British and Scottish mammal fauna. Physical attributes of the red squirrel include a head and body length of 18 to 24 centimeters, a tail length of 14 to 20 centimeters, and it weighs between 250 to 350 grams. The red squirrel's fur is generally a warm reddish-brown in summer, which alters to a deep brown and sometimes gray in winter. However, they are always identifiable from gray squirrels by their cream-colored underside. Other identifying features include a bushy tail and their iconic ear tufts, which are present in midwinter but disappear by summer. The red squirrel can live in both conifer and broad-leaved woodland and up to altitudes of 2,000 meters above sea level in locations such as the French Alps and the Spanish Pioneers, meaning that it is able to inhabit both lowland and subalpine forests. Within the United Kingdom, red squirrels are most abundant in large tracts of coniferous forest. However, red squirrels can also thrive in deciduous woods, mixed forests, parklands, and domestic gardens. The global range of the Eurasian red squirrel includes Europe and Northern Asia. They can be found occurring from Scandinavia south to Italy and Bulgaria, and from Ireland and Britain across to Russia. From there, its range extends all the way to Mongolia, China, Korea, and Hokkaido, the northernmost of Japan's islands. Within the United Kingdom, the red squirrel was formerly widespread. However, since the introduction of grey squirrels, there has been a sustained and recognized decline in red squirrel populations since the 1920s. With this decline in population, range has also altered. 75%, or an estimated 120,000 of the United Kingdom's red squirrels population, is now found in Scotland, with other strongholds being Northern Ireland and Northern England. The considerable contraction in the range of the red squirrel within the United Kingdom is highlighted by Figure 2. The reduction in the red squirrel's range occurring from the most southerly point of the United Kingdom in Cornwall, across the southeast and west, ranging north until Cumbria, with only small pockets of red and grey squirrel populations occurring within an area now dominated by grey squirrels. One noticeable exception is the Isle of Wight, on which red squirrels still thrive. Throughout its documented global range, the red squirrel remains common. However, within the United Kingdom, the red squirrel has suffered from severe population contraction and a decrease amongst its population. There is estimated to be only 140,000 red squirrels in the wild at present in the United Kingdom, with 120,000 or 75% of these in Scotland. The population decrease has also been documented in Ireland, where there has been a 20% decline since 1911. The red squirrel is classified as a least concerned species on the IUCN Red List, despite its considerable decline in the wild.
Threats to the red squirrel. The direct threats highlighted within this conservation strategy are the introduction and continued domination of the grey squirrel, parapox virus, deforestation. The indirect threat is the effect of urbanization.
The grey squirrel was introduced to UK some 100 years ago. Since then, its population has grown exponentially and is now estimated to stand at a plus minus 2.5 million in comparison to the 140,000 red squirrels. The dominance and continued population growth of the grey can be seen to be a multifaceted issue. The larger size and longer average lifespan of greys means they have a significant physical advantage. Another advantage of the grey squirrel's larger size and body weight is reflected in the increased likelihood of surviving the winter months. Shockingly, mortality rates amongst the red squirrels can reach 50% during the winter months.
The parapox virus, which is decimating the red squirrel population, was first recorded in the UK in 1984 in East Anglia. The UK parapox virus is carried by the grey squirrel population, but they are immune to the virus. Whereas in red squirrels, the virus causes skin ulcers, lesions, and scabs. It can also cause swelling and discharge near the eyes, mouth, feet, and genitalia. Additionally, squirrels that fall victim to the disease often become lethargic as it progresses. Normally, it is fatal within 15 days. The virus can spread through contact with the infected lesions and contaminated crusts. It is also believed that the virus can be transferred via contaminated feeders.
Since the 1940s, the UK has witnessed deforestation of 50%. However, this is coupled with the continued creation of new woodland and restocking of existing woodland areas. As of March 2012, the total woodland in the UK is estimated to be 3.8 million hectares. Between 2011 and 2012, 13,000 hectares of new woodland was created and 12,000 hectares restocked. Ironically, deforestation is not an immediate threat to red squirrels. The more pressing threat is the preference to plant broadleaf species.
Deforestation is coupled with the ravages of urbanization. According to the Campaign to Protect Rural England, the remorseless expansion of housing, industry, traffic, road building, etc. will lead to the loss of traditional countryside by 2035. Urbanization and increasing contact between red squirrels and humans poses a multitude of threats, ranging from predators such as domestic cats and dogs, increased road traffic, and habitat fragmentation.
The aim of a conservation strategy is to reintroduce red squirrels to their former natural habitats and range. Two areas that closely meet requirements are West Penwith and the Lizard in Cornwall. These areas are sufficiently buffered, that is, surrounded by sea on three sides, and forestry includes a woodland valley and mixed woodland habitats. Red squirrels that are to be introduced to these areas will be sourced from various populations to ensure genetic variation, for ease of adaptation and survival of the squirrels in Cornwall. The initial process would involve mapping out the range of grey squirrels in Cornwall, hence providing data for further focus areas to be monitored. Furthermore, grey squirrels are eradicated from the area via various methods, each depending on their success. The buffer zone is then completed, ensuring a maximized habitat range for the squirrels. To ensure continuous supplies of seed-producing trees, uneven-aged woodland would be a focus. This would include trees of less than 15 years, 15 to 30 years, and trees of more than 30 years old. Trees would also be preferentially planted on south-facing slopes, and the avoidance of broadleaf trees is crucial in limiting the attraction of grey squirrels. The complete eradication of grey squirrels cannot be guaranteed at such an early stage, and so variously sourced squirrels will have to be vaccinated against squirrel pox. The red squirrels are then introduced to the conservation habitat and further monitored. Looking at our long-term conservation, grey squirrels would be directly removed if they reappeared. During poor food conditions, supplementary food for red squirrels is essential in giving them a competitive advantage over grey squirrels. However, if over time grey squirrels do not reappear, limited planting of hazel is possible. This is due to the fact of hazel being favored by both red and grey squirrels. Once the conservation strategy is initiated, monitoring would follow and continuous studies would progress on both the red and grey squirrels.
Monitoring of red squirrels in Cornwall. The methods are surveying, hair analysis, time area observation counts, squirrel feeding signs, sampling by method of trapping, and radio tracking. The surveying method uses GIS software to determine the distribution of red squirrels and how this distribution is changing over time, through the density of population and places of movements. The problem with this method is that it would need efficient data gathering systems and updated maps on a continuous basis. However, it is useful because it will give an indication of population dispersal as well as the growth and decline. Hair analysis. Using feeder boxes that contains a sticky material that collects a small sample of hair when the squirrel is entering to reach the food. It needs continuous maintenance and periodic collection of the hair material. It gives an indication of the presence of the grey and red squirrels in that specific area. Time area observation counts. This method would work by using on-foot observers. 10 observers walk along an inspection rank, which will be 10 observers walk along an inspection rank, which will be a 1,000-meter transect line across an area with a dense squirrel population, stopping every 100 meters for a 5-minute interval and recording the squirrel sightings. Time area observation counts have to be carried out for a number of years to be successful. It can determine the distribution and the abundance of the red squirrel population. Squirrel feeding signs. Using whole maize as a bait and distributing it across a line transect, squirrels are the only species that remove the germ from the maize and discard the kernel. The constraints will lie in distinguishing the grey and red squirrels from each other. However, it can determine the presence of squirrels in terms of an overall squirrel population. The next method is sampling by method of trapping. A mink trap can be placed 100 meters apart, with hazelnut or sunflower seeds placed inside. Days prior to the trap being positioned, bait should be placed in the area close to the trap. The trap by law has to be checked every day. Handling the squirrel with utmost care is the highest priority, and ensuring a fully functioning trap not to harm the squirrel. Once the squirrel is obtained, an autopsy can be performed to check for any diseases and any ill health affecting the livelihood of the red squirrel. Radio tracking. Collars for red squirrel that emit a radio impulse can track the movement of red squirrels. The thermistors in the collar can also tell when the squirrel is inactive, for example, being in a dray. Up to 20 squirrels can be tracked for up to 800 meters for up to 15 months. It is an expensive equipment, and upkeep of the tracking needs to be done. Consideration of the squirrel's hibernation patterns also needs to be accounted for. However, the radio tracking method is so useful for tracking the movements of squirrels over a wide range of space and time, and can give real-time data. Done.
What I'm going to do, I'm going to take a nice clean shot. I'm going to shoot it to the back of the head between the ears, and that'll kill it straight away with one shot. Here we go. It twitches a bit, but that animal is dead.
As Rupert phoned old ladies in Newcastle and asked for donations, back on the front line, Paul was sending the enemy home in body bags.
Three. That's the 4. This is the best part.
What?
Catching the squirrels. See how they were laughing at us and that. Yeah. Not laughing no other. Did you think we would have the 4? Did you?
I never doubted you, Paul.
Right. What I want to say to the people out there, like I've said a million times, I am the real deal, right? At them top, we'll come out, we'll set the traps up, and we'll catch these things here, and we're good at it.
What we've got here is one of the red squirrels that we've chipped and sampled. When I say chip, that's an ident chip, so we can identify each individual squirrel that we've caught in the past, and we're about to release it after its experience with us.
How do you choose the right place to release it?
It's generally in the same place that we've caught it. That way, so we're not moving squirrels around the sort of park or anything like that. It's where we've sort of managed to catch the squirrel and we release it in the same place.
Okay. Right. Are they quite shy creatures?
Definitely.
Oh. There it went. Up a tree.
It goes.
The funding for our conservation plan includes immediate costs, seed funds, and long-term sustainability. Immediate costs are those that are absolutely essential for our red squirrel conservation plan. These include legal costs, such as legislation, restrictions, and implications, administrative costs, such as enforcement, human capital, and maintenance, social costs, For example, the impacts the system will have on people and conservation, and the willingness of the people of Cornwall to pay or contribute to the strategy. Political costs include governmental support and reliability, monitoring by NGO watchdog groups, or an independent board of directors. Environmental costs, such as the impact of the current state of the allocated areas for conservation, the acquisition and planting of conifer trees, and the removal of broadleaf trees to deter grey squirrels. Medical costs include vaccinations, euthanizations, and qualified personnel for the care and administering of medical supplies. Research costs for scientific professionals conducting research on the species with regards to numbers, populated areas, and food sources. Finally, our technical costs for the relevant equipment needed to run the system. Seed funds are allocated to the conservation of the red squirrel in the form of donations, sponsorships, grants, and loans, and can be acquired from various people in order to maintain our costs. These include taxpayers, property owners and developers, donors, NGOs, tourists, investors and banks, gamblers such as the National Lottery Fund, governments like the Department of Forestry, private companies and corporations, as well as zoo agencies. Long-term sustainability. In order for our conservation plan to run smoothly and successfully, our long-term strategy to fund the maintenance of the two protected areas would include a potential for a red squirrel breeding program, catch tag release efforts sponsored by corporations and governmental departments, educational programs, and good advertising for our cause to encourage a flow of income, adoption opportunities to assist in the overall care of the squirrels, a successful website to spread the word of our efforts and reiterate the importance of the red squirrel in the country and ecosystems, and lastly, tourism and voluntary-based opportunities within the program to encourage people to actively participate in the preservation of a species. The projected overall cost per year for the running of such a program is an estimated $3 million. This is based on the factors outlined above, as well as compared to previous conservation plans implemented for various other species.